Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Alva Baltimore and I'm blessed and privileged. Oh, that's I'm still blessed and privileged and curious. Make sure the mic is working right. To be a licensed practitioner here, which is somebody who affirms and knows the truth of who you are no matter what is going on. This morning I am your speaker and we're going to be talking about the mystic act of forgiveness. And so it was very good at the first service, and so hopefully it'll be just as awesome, if not better, at this service. And so I'm delighted that you're here with us today, so I ask you to open your minds and your hearts to whatever's here for you. I'd also like to welcome anyone who is here for the first time. If this is your first time with us, please raise your hand. We have a gift for you.
Wellness, Senior Minister of the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas, and we're delighted that you found us here on the web. You can find our Sunday services on our website by every Wednesday. And we love that you can look at us online and explore these spiritual teachings. Feel free to explore our archives. It goes back a number of years with lots of special topics and amazing speakers. You can also sign up for our email news, My Daily Words, and my blog, Spiritual Living with Dr. Petra. If you're looking for a spiritual community, come visit us. Or if you're just in Dallas, drop on by. We'd love to give you a hug. Welcome home.
This song is called For Good from Wicked and is a request from Alva. Unlimited. My future is unlimited. And just look at you, you can do all I couldn't do. You can. Now it's up to you. Now it's up to you.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Oh, who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew
Thank you, ladies. Whew, that song really moves me. The mystic act of forgiveness. I think that song sums it all up. Because I knew you, I have been changed for good. Because I knew my mother, because of all the experiences I've had in my life, the ups and the downs. Because of everything. If God is all there is, because of everything in my life, from conception to transition, is for me to be changed for good in every moment, in every interaction. So this is Black History Month, and we're near the end of it. And I was listening to that song, and while I may not physically know my ancestors, I know a lot about them. I know that they're strong, I know that they're powerful, I know that they were people of vision, I know that they were the embodiment of love and action, and I know that they were physical demonstrations of forgiveness through horror and terror. They were able to maintain their connection with God and create a world that we currently enjoy these freedoms. I know it wasn't just my ancestors. I know it's a lot of ancestors. Think about that. I don't know about you, but if somebody does something to irritate me, I'm a little bit perturbed and resentful, and that might last a whole day. I can't even imagine how I had to work in the cotton fields from sun up to sundown, go make your food, maybe nurse your baby, then go home and take care of my family, and I'm going to do that, believing in God and trusting that freedom someday I'll be free, or someday my baby will be free. I'm taking care of a baby that I don't even know if that baby's going to be taken from me and sold. And yet, these were people who held on to their faith in God no matter what. The stuff we say no matter what now, it might be the loss of a job, it might be a relationship breaking up, it might be a car accident, it might be a health challenge. And please don't misunderstand me. I'm not diminishing it, but what I am saying is that currently we don't live in fear of our life and our loved ones being snatched from us every day. We don't have to worry about being whipped, we don't have to be worried about being burned, and we don't have to be worried about hanging from the tree. And yet, under those circumstances, I'm not even going to say odds, I'm going to say under those circumstances, these people were able to think about generations from forward and wanting them to be free. So I asked myself, how in the world do you forgive and live in that experience? Well, that's probably the relevant question. The relevant question is, how do I forgive and live in my life? Right here, right now. How do I honor them? Because people, we stand on the shoulders of giants. No matter who your ancestors were, they worked and labored and toiled and may have been physically oppressed so that we can live where we want to live, work where we want to, marry who we want to marry, do what we want to do. Are we thinking about what we are, where we came from, what we're contributing now, and where we're moving to? I submit to you that we can't do that without forgiveness. Of letting go of what has happened and offering love for that. So in the first service, I told a story that I recently, whenever I give a talk, wow, I have like all these experiences of God showing me where I'm not practicing what I'm talking about. And so I've told you guys many times before, it's usually either my son or it's my mother. At the first service, it was my mom. So I said that when I get home, I'm going to make an amends to them because I really believe in what Robin said, what she's saying. I I have been changed for good because of our bumpy relationships. Those bumps in our relationships, those places where we rub up against each other, were the very place where Spirit was seeking to bring forward in me who I really am, as maybe peace, as maybe compassion, as maybe love, instead of resentment, or irritation, or frustration, or judgment, or condemnation. I know you guys don't do that, but I have a 21-year-old, and I'm waiting for him to become somebody different than he's currently showing me. And I've said before, I get in his business a lot, but actually I've stopped. But that actually is only partially true. I am. Okay, so here's what I discovered. I stopped getting in his business verbally, but have been judging and condemning the mess out of him right here silently. Okay, first of all, I'm so out of order. And then I get resentful about that, and I get irritated about that. You know, he's 21. Okay, nobody when you see him tell him what I'm saying today. Well, he won't live on YouTube, so you're okay. He recently lost his job. I'm very intuitive, so I figured this out about 2 weeks ago, but I finally asked him the other day. And so, you know, like, okay, he's in that room playing games. He needs to get a job. He is 21 years old. He needs to be paying his own cell phone bill, yada, 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 yada. So last night, he's playing his game, and I asked him to do something, and he never did it. Oh, my gosh. I got so mad. And I didn't go, like, get mad at him and say something to him, but I got mad here, and I realized I'm constantly doing that. And I don't know about you guys, but when you have those resentments and those irritations and frustrations, at least for me, it weighs me down. You know? Jesus said to forgive 70 times 7. I have never done that. I don't even know if there's that many hours in the day to do that I'm awake. However, that is the practice that he offered us. So when I have those irritations or frustrations or feel like he hurts my feelings, it's not about changing him. It's about changing me. Forgiveness is not this external thing. It doesn't matter if I ever get to make amends with that person and that person says, you know, I accept, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's not for them. It's for me, because not forgiving is like drinking rat poison and expecting something to happen to somebody else, right? Like I'm over here irritated and like he needs to, like that's going to get him moving. And like he can't feel that negative energy. So not only have I polluted myself, I've polluted the energy between us. So think about that. Forgiveness. Jesus said 70 times 7. I'm thinking my ancestors was definitely practicing that kind of forgiveness, whether they could read or not. You know what I'm saying? Like to get up and go to work each day. I was thinking about this. Like there's nowhere where it records like how many hours a day they slept. I'm thinking that they might have got like a good 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours. If you work from sun up to sundown, you probably have some responsibilities for the plantation on besides picking the cotton, right? Then you have your own family to tend to. Or you're tending to somebody else's family because that mother didn't make it. Or you're taking care of somebody else's child because their parents got sold off. And then you got to get up and do it again. And you don't know if that's going to be your last day on the planet. How do you think they did that? I am convinced that they did that from a place of love and vision. How do I know? Because we're all right here, right now. Their dream brought us here. So if they could forgive under those circumstances, what a beautiful example. What a beautiful example. Right here, right now, for us to lay our baggage down about one another. It might not necessarily excuse someone else's behavior But Jesus also said, he that hasn't sinned, let him cast the first stone, right? So what does that mean? We all have forgotten at some point in our lives who we are and behave from that unconscious state. I don't know about y'all. I'm thinking y'all don't do this. I'm thinking y'all are way brighter than me. That's my story. I like it. I'm keeping it. I know that as a mom, I have not always been kind to my son. Not verbally, and definitely not mentally. And I know I've said that before. Our relationship has changed and moved forward. But I can feel this place of resentment for him, like, not like wanting to leave the nest. You know what I mean? Like, go on with his business. But our philosophy says God is all there is. So God is all there is. That right where he is and right where I am is perfect for both of our unfoldment. So how should we go through this experience? We can go through this experience as love. I can be forgiveness. I can be a stand for forgiveness. And as I'm saying this, I'm thinking part of the problem with my mother and my son is not them. It's me not forgiving me for my judgments and how I condemn myself. What do they say? We're our own worst critic. Well, as we practice conscious living, we shouldn't be saying that anymore. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to affirm that you're your own worst critic, and I definitely don't want to affirm that I'm not. What about we're our own best cheerleader or coach? Let's try that out. And I'm thinking that our ancestors were. They had to be their own coach. They had to be their own cheerleader. They had to be tuned in, tapped in, and turned on to move through that experience. That is some heavy-duty forgiveness. We're talking this month about the mastery of love, right? That's the supplemental book. But I'm thinking that forgiveness is the mastery of love. I'm thinking that the mastery of love is not just the spiritual practice of forgiveness, right? I'm thinking that it's our whole life and every person we meet and every interaction. Because if that song is true, and I believe it is, and I hope that you join me in that, if that song is true, that means every experience that we have, every interaction, everything from our past, no matter how traumatic, is serving us, is for our good, is here to help us stand up in the truth of who we are. Edwin Gaines says she was molested as a young child, and she was talking to her minister, and she said she had been telling that story for years, and he finally told her, Edwin, can I give you a little piece of that feedback? I am tired of hearing that story. And girl, you are not a victim anymore. And she said she left out of there, you know, like all worked up. I can imagine that because I do that. I stomp around. Oh, I'm sorry. I told everybody I stomp around. Okay, I'm going to try not to do that here in the center. I can't promise you that, but I'm going to try. But anyway, so she said she went home and she was like, you know, giving God the what's for. And then finally Spirit said to her, why didn't you ask me why that happened? And what she got was that it taught her how to use her power for good. The contrast was how someone used their power for not good. So I bet we can all look through our life and find a relationship, whether it's at work, or a personal relationship, or a relationship that's ended, or an experience that we have labeled not good. Like there's no way in the world this should be happening, or I should be having this experience. Or we do this, we don't want to be where we are. We don't want to be the age that we are. We don't want to have wrinkles. We don't want to be this weight. We don't want to be on this job. What if we were to begin to look through the mastery of love? Imagine you put on some glasses. You go into work. Or you're retired. And you're trying to figure out the next thing. Or you're unemployed. And you have been putting in resume after resume after resume. But what if you were to look at that situation through the eyes of love and ask yourself, what is it here, not just to teach us, but to bring forward in us to bring out in us. Like, how do you all know that you're powerful expressions of divine love? How do you know that? How do you know that you can give compassion for error? We have to do it, right? We actually have to do it. We can't just talk about it. We actually have to do it. We actually have to be that. How do we know that we're made in the image and likeness of greatness? Yes, we've been told that time and time again, right? How do we do that? I submit to you not only my ancestors, but all of our ancestors. If we look back at the legacy that they left us, we will see that, again, I say, we stand on the shoulders of giants, that we have strength that is uncommon, that we have never used. We have never tapped into the wisdom of infinite spirit that we are. I'm not saying we haven't tapped into a little bit. I'm saying there's so much more. If the nature of the divine is always to expand and unfold, then there is so much more of us to give and to shine and to share and to express. And I'm saying we can look back on that legacy that they left us. If they could do it under those conditions, most of us don't live under those conditions anymore. I know I don't live in a shack and have an outhouse, if you even have an outhouse. My grandparents said that was kind of gross, but anyway. We don't have to have that experience. I'm not saying that experience is bad. I'm just saying we don't live like that now. Right? So, why can't we extend love for hurt, for misunderstanding? Why can't we see each other as the divine? And you, and this thing that irritates me, is a gift to me. You know, I think I might have said this before, but hopefully it was a long time ago. They asked, I forgot his name. Anyway, they asked, you gonna help me out, Lee? No, who was it? David, right? Was it Michelangelo? Yes. Okay, perfect, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it so much. They asked him how the stone that he picked, so many people had passed over it, right? And they asked him, why did he pick that stone? How did he pick that stone? And he said his job was to just chip away the parts that weren't David. And that's supposed to be one of the world's greatest beauties, right? Well, I submit to you, we are all much more beautiful than that. And so these prickly interactions are to chip away the parts that aren't us. They're the opportunity for us to give love and patience and peace, or no truth, for ourselves and for those individuals. They say it's a mystic act because mystic means there's no logical understanding. I don't think forgiveness comes from our mind. I think it comes from our heart. And I think our heart is the place where God dwells. And it's so much bigger. So shall we expand ourselves? Shall we try and practice 7 times 7? Forgiveness for ourselves and forgiveness for others. If we live in a universe that's love, and love is this transformative healing power, and we've all experienced it at some point in our lives, why not grow that? Why not let's grow more love? Why not let's be grateful for the people in our lives, whether it's work or whatever the circumstances? Why not spend a moment of thank you for changing me for good? That's what we get when we forgive. That's what we get when we practice love in action. That's when we honor our ancestors for all that they have done for us. That's when we create a world for our children and our children's children. That's better than we can do. Let's pray. So I'd like for you to imagine a place where you might be holding some judgment about yourself or how you did a certain thing. You might be condemning yourself or your progress. And I'd like you to imagine that this room is the heart of God. And I'd like you to take that hurt, take that judgment, take that condemnation, and put it on the altar of love. I'd like for you to imagine a person that you feel misunderstood by, or there is some hurt between you. They behaved inappropriately. They judged you. They hurt your feelings. They shut you out, whatever that thing is. And I'd like you to place it on that altar. And lastly, I'd like you to think a little bit bigger. Is there something in the world that you are so resistant to, that you just think is just complete and utter nonsense, that you are judging and condemning? I'd like you to place that on that altar of love. And then I'd like for you to allow my words to be your words. What I absolutely know with every fiber of my being is that there truly is only one life, God's life, perfect, our life, and the life of those experiences. And that life is perfect love, growing itself, expressing itself in us and through us. And so I know that as we have placed these concerns and these cares and these old hurts, how we've surrendered anger over to love, I know that love has already transformed it before this prayer was even spoken, before you even arrived here today. And what I absolutely know is that as we have done this, we now become the blessing and liberate others to do the same. And we are one step closer to living in a world of peace, to living in a world of love. We are now free and unencumbered by those old grudges. So we can be the love. We can practice forgiveness 70 times 7. We can grow old, healthy, and happy. We can have our relationships healed or embrace them exactly as they are. Because we know that we are powerful expressions of divine love. And everything in our life works together for our glory. So imagine with me that this is complete. And that you are a free stand for forgiveness. And a powerful agent of transformative love. So I'm just so grateful that this is the truth that we have declared here together. And I'm certain and confident that it is done. So we just leave here in gratitude and excitement and enthusiasm for that which is blossoming in our life. And for the awareness that not only do we stand on the shoulders of giants, we too are giants, creating a world of